heartbreaking, man. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy. Yes, I've had some time off, and technically I'm still having time off, but Chelsea have just lost the FA Cup final to Leicester City. And although I still need some time away from content creation on this channel, I thought this was a perfect opportunity to just dip in and offer some football therapy, because I can imagine a lot of you, my viewership, need it right now. Oh man, Chelsea were favourites, heavy favourites. I think we were like odds on, and Leicester were 3-1 to win. Of course, Thomas Tuchel has done better than Leicester since he's come in, but Chelsea and Leicester are going neck and neck for a Champions League position, and Chelsea, we're on the cusp of an absolute incredibly good season, potentially finishing in the top 4, and who knows, winning the FA Cup, and who knows, winning the Champions League. Like 2012, many parallels had been made, of course, between this season and 2012, when we won the FA Cup and we won the Champions League. Now, I'm going to talk about the game, and I want to talk about Chelsea moving forwards from here. I do think Thomas Tuchel has to be questioned potentially in this game. The lineup, firstly, Hakim Ziyech. I mean, the thing is, I looked at the lineup and I was like, all right then, let's friggin' go. You know, I was concerned about Alonso, but I tweeted out recently how you're never surprised if he scores in big games. And in hindsight, obviously it was the wrong decision, and Chilwell should have started and possibly should have scored. More on that in a moment. But I can understand maybe why he made the decision on an emotional level to start Alonso. I mean, he always gets stick from opposition fans, but it's the first game the Chelsea players would play in front of a crowd for a very long time, and it's in the cup final, and there will be a lot of fans there. Ben Chilwell does get stick from Leicester fans as a Chelsea player, so maybe Tuchel thought a little bit of like emotional intelligence. Don't put him in, bring him in later, maybe when we're winning, and try and turn the screw, because, you know, he doesn't want to get, probably, I don't want to speculate too much, but maybe he didn't want Chilwell to get too much into his own head and drop concentration because of this overwhelming reaction of fans that he's not heard from a long time. Maybe. I don't know. Of course, he started Kepa in goal, which he confirmed. Now, a lot of people, I don't have a problem with that. The goal that decided the game was, of course, a Yuri Tielemans wonder strike. Now, maybe some goalkeeper in the form of their life makes that save, but it's absolutely not a Kepa mistake. It's just too easy to say, oh, had our first team goalkeeper been playing, who knows, maybe he would have saved it. But that's kind of like whataboutery. It's just, for me, it was a world-class goal. If anything, I would have looked more to this potential handball and the lead-up that VAR did or didn't look at. I mean, it was certainly like near enough in the phase of play to rule the goal out. So I don't know what happened there. It does seem like disappointing from a Chelsea fan's perspective if that was genuinely a handball for it not to be given by VAR, but I'm reluctant to hang that up on just that. In terms of the other selections, the midfield was fine. Jorginho and N'Golo Kante, of course. Mason Mount nearly scored an absolute wonder goal himself. Of course, he was the right decision to pick. Werner ultimately was, in terms of he was getting a lot of joy in terms of the tactics, but poor decision making as per usual. So I understand why he started Werner. Ziyech didn't really do anything in the game for me at all, and although I was fine to see him start because you'd trust the coach, had he shown Thomas Tuchel enough to start this final and do well, and especially when Pulisic had been informed generally for Chelsea of late, comes on and he looks infinitely better than Hakim Ziyech. Obviously a lot of criticism as well that Tammy Abraham wasn't even named in the matchday squad. Top goal scorer in this competition. He's a goal threat. You know, you're playing your second string or second team goalkeeper. You're not even putting your top goal scorer on the bench. Tammy's clearly gone in the summer, which is sad, but I'm not going to get into that now. Perhaps I'll talk about that when I come back properly on this channel and do Chelsea news. I think that's probably more appropriate then. So, no Tammy Abraham, but we've got loads of attackers. You know, Havertz comes on and he wins a header. The truth is, Kasper Schmeichel made 2 world-class saves. like FA Cup winning worthy world-class saves. And if we don't talk about this potential handball from whoever it was prior to the Yuri Tillemans goal, you go, right, it was a world-class goal that decided it, and 2 world-class saves from Kasper Schmeichel at both ends. They wanted it so much. They performed well. I mean, Chelsea had much more possession, infinitely more passes in the final third than the opposition. And it was an offside. You know, the Chilwell goal, I'm really trying to like soul search here and think about how I feel. Because the narrative was written, it's the ex-player getting booed, comes off the bench, scores the equaliser, and then who knows what happens in extra time and penalties. And it was offside by a kneecap. It wasn't the lines were level and they decided it was offside, which would be an absolute farce. If we're going by VAR as we know it for the last season or two, it's offside. It just makes you reflect on the general involvement of VAR in this game and just think, of course it's magical for the Leicester City fans, and it's just heartbreaking for Chelsea because that was like game on. That was to make the final itself, the game itself, the spectacle, the occasion, the illustrious FA Cup final. That was the opportunity to make it a better story, or at least for the neutrals and Chelsea's point of view, a better story. A word on Leicester. Look, man, I'm hurting, I'm heartbroken, but ultimately it's a lot easier to swallow this than perhaps the Arsenal defeat last season because it's Arsenal. Leicester have never won an FA Cup. You know, the fact you could see how much it means to the fans. There was a lot of narrative around obviously the owner who tragically died, and his son's now, you know, running the club and they've got their FA Cup. So there's like, you know, there's a nice story there. So it's easier to concede it to that story, that narrative, than like a London rival or, you know, a City or United. Do you know what I mean? So there's that, but that doesn't take away the disappointment. I am disappointed in Tuchel. I'm not going to get the pitchforks out because that would be absolutely silly for a coach who's come in and generally been spectacular, and people are, you know, neutral pundits are saying, oh, the title's going to be between probably Chelsea and Man City next season because since Tuchel was appointed, Chelsea have only just behind Man City in points gained. So they're the form team behind the champions Manchester City since Tuchel was appointed. And bearing in mind the second half of the season is when Man City were at their best as well. So Chelsea have been magnificent. And they've still got a Champions League final to play, of course. It's bitterly disappointing, but Tuchel will hopefully learn from this. You know, systemically, you can't probably play Ziyech like that. I think he was probably silly to not start Chilwell, not start Pulisic. Granted, Hudson-Odoi has looked really good recently, and he probably was worth a start, but you know, I wouldn't have criticised him just coming off the bench anyway. In terms of a front three, you know, it's difficult. I do have sympathy for the coach because Havertz, Werner and Mount have looked very good. Mount, Pulisic and Werner have looked really good at times, you know, and there also looked like there was a link up early doors between Ziyech and Werner. It's all a bit over the place, so many new players, and now a new coach on top of that. I do have my sympathies, but I also have my criticisms for this final, the way he's set up. And especially as well, you know, Evans came off. I never celebrate an injury, but you saw how Leicester played without him defensively. They've been awful. They shipped 4 goals to Newcastle. And when he came off, I thought, oh, we could get 1 or 2 here now. And we just didn't do it. Leicester dug in. The occasion meant more to them. They deserve it ultimately, despite, you know, whatever decisions went their way. They do deserve it. Chelsea don't deserve to win the final. It's like last year's final when we lost to Arsenal. You could put all these things like, we got unlucky because Pulisic scored a worldie, then came off with a hamstring injury. Azpilicueta had to come off with a hamstring injury. Mateo Kovacic was wrongly sent off by a terrible referee. But despite all that, we didn't deserve to win the final last season. And we probably didn't deserve to win it this year either. So congratulations to Leicester City. And I wanted to talk about the game, so that's why I've made this video. I'm going to talk a little bit more. I've had some time off. For you guys following me on Instagram and stuff and social media, I've explained how I was a little bit burnt out, and I'm not ashamed to talk about how I've been suffering with some mental health problems at the moment recently. Something that I've sort of had a recurring problem with over the last decade. I don't want anyone to worry about me, But I do want to thank literally hundreds of people for sending me really nice messages, either on Twitter, the YouTube comments, or Instagram DM requests. I mean, just because I don't accept them, I do read a lot of them, and I see so many lovely messages. So I wanted to take an opportunity to thank you all. I've been like really deeply moved, actually, like quite emotional sometimes. So it's very, very kind. I've clearly got a very kind and compassionate viewership and all my subscribers. So thank you. I do see it, and I do appreciate it a lot. Thank you for being patient on this channel. I'm going to start it back up soon as I sort of regain strength, which I'm looking to make myself better, so don't worry about that. I have been making content the last day or two on a new YouTube channel called Football Yannick, which is a very informal, less personal, well, this is pretty personal, but it's something that I've just been doing on my phone. Of course I made the other channel, Jan's Yard, but I got lost with that and I didn't know what I want it to be. I want to talk about football, but not just Chelsea, and that's what this new channel, Football Yannick, is about. So if you want to show some love and support and actually see more content from me in between, I'd urge you to please go subscribe to that. I'm going to put a link in the description for you guys to click and go check out. If I can put a link in the video, I will, but I imagine just go down into the description, click the URL. Please do go subscribe to Football Yannick for more content from me of, general football talk. Anyway, that's enough. Very sad day for Chelsea. Got a lot to play for moving on. Thank you again for your kind messages. Enjoy the football if you can, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.